First off, massive apology to the DYNAZENON fans. I am way, way behind on this series. I had the 5th episode drop right when I did a move, and then the following episode was right when we were trying to get caught up on first impressions. But I'm here now. Have my impressions on episode 5 through 7, and let's just jump into it because we have a lot to cover. Now, unfortunately, I will say I'm a little bit disappointed in going through 5 episodes and not really getting too much substance to the whole kind of twists and turns that Trigger will end up putting on the actual series, the kaiju and all that kind of stuff, but a lot did happen. Kind of opened up, Chisei apparently is training still, and she's doing an excellent job at it. I still to this day believe that she needs to replace Yomogi, because even though Yomogi has, in these last 3 episodes, gained some kind of substance, and it's mainly in substance with Yume, he technically does seem like he has something going for him now. Just going after the girl is really his thing now, but even still, we had a nice little poolside episode, so we got to see all the characters in bikinis and whatnot. They kind of dragged in Shizumu with them as well. Kind of had a little moment somewhere in there of him kind of discussing the idea of how kaiju actually feed off of, or they prefer emotions the most. It's the one thing that drives them the most, so they do really like emotions of humankind, which was a little weird. They did kind of point out, or Yume kind of noticed, that Chisei had kind of an arm covering, even though she was in her bathing suit. So I'm guessing that eventually they're going to get to a point where they're going to point out that Chisei possibly is a cutter, which is kind of sad. I'm not really looking too much forward to seeing whatever that is about, but that's the assumption. It's not really proven, but that is the assumption, that if you're covering your arm, there's probably a reason for it. But maybe it's a tattoo. Maybe she was in Yakuza. Who knows? But I'm leaning more towards disaster in that case, which is unfortunate. But she's still been carrying around that little thing that she got from one of the kaiju. So it seems to be focusing on that more and more as the episodes went along. So I hope it doesn't affect her too much, whatever that is. But she is carrying that around. I had a really interesting little scene with Yomogi confronting Yume at the pool, and it was like she's eating a churro, and it's like this very long, drawn out, and it's so funny because it's natural. Like, this is totally them. Yomogi again has nothing going for him and just kind of just stares, and she's just kind of her normal, very quiet to herself self. So she just, it's like they're pointing out the fact these two characters are just really too quiet and can't really socialize very well. So it's just him just staring at her and her eating for like literally 10-15 seconds. It's just kind of, okay, way to point that out, director. I guess it's a good point to really get into this. Yume, during this pool segment, she did recall seeing the body of her sister in the ravine. And as the story for the next 3 episodes goes along, we have her meet some other guy that was a part of the club. He revealed that there was some private videos that were made that are not public, they're unlisted, and that he could share it with her, and so he does. And these are videos of essentially her classmates playing like pranks on her. Well, it was the first classmate, and then the second guy talked about it possibly being bullying. So I'm not quite sure if exactly what they were getting with this whole situation, but based on what Yume is saying is that she never seen her sister smile. They used to get along. At some point, her sister kind of drifted away from her. She no longer smiled, and she was kind of distant with her. And she never seen her smile until this last recital that she invited her to. She finally seen her smile, and following this was her death. And this other guy kind of hints that it was not due to an accident, but due to bullying. And this is a rumor that he claims. And it all kind of circles around this one guy who was very popular. He kind of drew people to him with his personality. And apparently her sister and this guy got together, and this could have led to other girls bullying her, and that could have led to her death. Not death by accident, but death by her ending her own life. And it was kind of odd because at the same time, she was looking at these videos of these pranks, and I got the feeling from that they were insinuating that this wasn't good pranking, and she was only smiling in the video to put up a face, and that any situation where she was smiling with them might have been just her putting on a facade. So it definitely does insinuate the idea that she's just straight up was bullied this entire time, and this led to her death. So we'll see where that goes going forward, but currently right now that's kind of where they left it, insinuating that and the possibilities there. I am really curious if this is just going to be a story that affects Yume, or if it's going to be a story that affects the kaiju as a whole, if it's going to be something to do with the aspect of the kaijus being drawn to things that bind humans. Maybe that's her thing. Again, unfortunately, we didn't really have much of that stuff in these 3 episodes, and that's where I'm kind of a little disappointed. But again, we still have plenty more episodes to go through, so that stuff can still happen in that regard. As for Koyomi, we had him essentially have a get together with this girl from his past. They went and got some drinks, even though she is married. They're kind of friends. There's a lot of flashbacks of her apparently having a secret with him. She was breaking windows. He didn't reveal that she did it. Eventually, she showed him something that was put away that nobody knew about. I missed exactly what it was. It looked like just duffel bags, and I'm not sure exactly if there was something in that shot that insinuated more, or if that's something they'll get into later. But obviously something in there that's shouldn't be there, I guess, because he ran away from the situation very quickly, but this is kind of a secret they've always kept to each other. Not sure exactly if that's going to get more heated later, obviously later on. And this was a struggle because I almost was like, okay, I'm done with Koyomi. Following one of the fights, he actually found the husband collapsed in a car, and he almost walked away from him. And the guy was like, groaning, and then he's like, he had to push himself to go back and help him, and that's what helped him and his wife kind of get back together and realize how much they was important to each other, because she never really seen much purpose to their relationship whatsoever, but this obviously resparked their love for each other. But like I said, I was going to be very upset if that was a walk away situation. I mean, I'm already upset with the fact that he even stuttered there, but I guess jealousy does drive people to do crazy things, but yeah, he was ooh. But even still, it looks like him and Mujina are hitting it off, so I guess he can get together with Mujina. A lot of character development for Mujina, a lot of character, because she's always kind of been very kind of dead face, and their interaction with each other did kind of add a little bit to her. I am curious as to eventually if the eugenicists themselves are really going to get into a debate at some point, because it really does seem like, based on the interactions that we have with each one of the eugenicists over time, they all seem to have a really skewed different perspective from each other on what is actually the kaiju and what's important for the kaiju and what's important to them. Because like with Shizumu, he can hear the kaiju. He believes that they are born from mankind's binds, and they enjoy the emotions of humankind. And then you have like Onja, who's really kind of focused on the idea that these kaiju are for not ourselves, and not for killing individual humans, but for wiping out humanity as a whole. And I think early on, Juga said something to the effect of that the kaiju that they were trying to build a place where the kaiju can have a place. And maybe that insinuated a place as in we need to wipe out mankind in order for kaiju to be able to exist, but it's odd. I don't know if it's just riddles, but it feels like they're trying to insinuate that each one of these eugenicists see the kaiju as needing something different. And if they're eventually going to get to a point where they, I guess, wrap it all together in a bow, because it does seem like they're kind of conflicting with each other in that regard. But maybe that's me looking too much into it, but we'll see. And I guess the really big thing that happened, I think it was in the 6th episode, and then following into the 7th episode, is obviously the Grid Knight appeared, and he essentially saved them because they had a kaiju that was controlled by 2 of the eugenicists, and this thing was super strong, able to control gravity, able to just lightning bolt things to explosions, and Dynazenon was about to fail, but then the Grid Knight shows up. Right before we see him show up, you see this guy who's named Knight, and this lady who's named the Second. They basically mention the idea that they've been trying to essentially intervene for quite a while now, but it was due to so many fights happening that the barrier that was keeping them from being able to intervene has been weakened, so they're able to finally get in there and intervene to basically wipe out the kaiju. And it seems like their goal is to destroy the kaiju. And like I said, Knight turns into Grid Knight. He's this huge, tall gridman kind of thing, and he's able to pretty much wipe the floor with the kaiju. They have a battle later on where they both work together. The second has a fixing beam, I think what she called it. She takes this little fixing vial and sticks into this wand and twirls it, and it heals the Dynazenon, which I guess technically insinuates that there's a connection between what Grid Knight is and what Dynazenon is, because obviously this thing's able to heal Dynazenon, and she obviously probably had it for Grid Knight. Yeah, they technically did label this as part of the Gridman universe, so obviously it doesn't shock me too much that a Grid Knight is now here. I was kind of hoping at some point in this series we would have the team from SSSS Gridman show up in this particular series, but I guess this is how they're going to be doing that. But pretty cool little introduction. He's pretty awesome. I like Knight. I like how Goma thanked the second by, and put his hand on her arm, and Knight's like grabs his hand like, don't touch. So it's like a little interesting little relationship there. But they do have kind of between Goma and the Knight, they do kind of have like a little bit of a rivalry thing going on between the two of them, and obviously working together. They fought well together, so yeah, we'll see where that goes in the future. I will say, this is a shocker. We did finally have a Gridman be destroyed, or not Gridman, a kaiju be destroyed, and Onja was not nearly killed. That was this last one in episode 7. So they have finally broken the tradition, and I'm a little heartbroken. This is supposed to be a common thing that would happen, but yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting at the current moment. So we'll see where things go from here. We have a lot of personality added to Mujina, one of the eugenicists. Shizumu continues to kind of, I guess, watch Yomogi and Yume. Yume is still learning more about her sister. Obviously, there's a situation that her sister's not wasn't an accident. It was that she ended her own life, and apparently they're going to continue to investigate that. I think the next step they currently have is that she wants to go meet this boy that possibly that her sister was a girlfriend of. And obviously the Knight showing up, what does that mean? Chisei still having this object with her. They did reveal that Goma got the Dynazenon from the girl that he's looking for. I don't know if they mentioned that before, if this is the first time they mentioned that. But yeah, still plenty to get into. Unfortunately, like I said, nothing really huge and game-breaking happening in these 3 episodes. But I still have hope for more going forward. But we'll see. That's my thoughts on episode 5 through 7 of SSSS DYNAZENON. Still excellent series. Still looks great. Still fantastic directorial work in there as well, of course. Great little animation pieces here and there. Definitely excited for more. But I hope you guys enjoyed my impressions of these 3 episodes. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of them. Subscribe if you haven't already. And share this video if you can. And I thank you all for watching. And y'all take care.